Today we're going to be taking a look at the Toho Ultimates Wave 5, technically, Godzilla 1995 Final Battle version from Super7. This figure was initially slated to be the third figure for Wave 5 before it got pushed out and delayed to add a whole bunch of light up features and other things. And it was solicited 6 months after the mods. It has now landed 6 months after the mods. It's finally here, and I'm really excited to be able to take a look at it. Now, first things first, I did pay for this figure with my own money, but some of you may have also purchased this figure with your own money, and I have it in hand while you may still be waiting for a shipment email. Super7 ships these in the orders that customers purchase them. Now, I, at the time, knew what day this was launching, and I roughly knew what time of day it was going to be launching, and so I was frantically refreshing the Super7 website, saw it pop up, placed my order immediately, and then pushed all the promo to socials with affiliate links and all that stuff. So all that's to say is I got my order in very early. I might have even been the first one, who knows, we'll never know. And that's almost certainly why I have mine in hand now, and you are still waiting for your confirmation email, probably because you are a normal human being. Now, with that out of the way, I am so excited to be taking a look at this figure for one specific reason that I'll be getting into. Let's just jump right into it. I have so much to say. Godzilla here stands at 8 inches tall and approximately 14 inches long with the tail fully extended. Now, this figure borrows largely from the 1989 Godzilla from Wave 1, while also featuring the half-melted spines from the 1200 degrees Celsius Godzilla in Wave 3. There are some other small modifications throughout the body, including a half-melted spine on the neck piece, since the 1200 degrees Celsius Godzilla never had a melted spine on his neck. And there's also the chest/shoulder scar from Godzilla vs. Destroyer, which is really well sculpted and painted to represent the damage that he sustains in that fight. You'll also get eruption zones for the nuclear pulse effects that come included with the figure, 2 on the front and 2 on the back. Now, at this point in the line, there's not a whole lot to say about this sculpted release, right? Like, this was Wave 1, was not well received, and I think that the consensus is that the sculpted details are not so bad, like they're fine. It's mostly the limits in the articulation that really bothered people. But what I'd like to highlight here is that it's not the sculpted details that really help this figure shine. It's the use of translucent plastic with glitter embedded into that plastic. Super7 first introduced glittered plastic into their Toho Reaction Blind Box series back in 2023, and I've been eagerly awaiting for them to bring that same glittered plastic approach to the Ultimates line, and it's finally here. The glitter just adds a sheen and an extra dimension within the use of translucent plastic. Translucent figures already have a charm to them, but when you examine this figure and see the specks of glitter at different depths, with some of those specks closer to the surface and others further down into the plastic, it all just comes together in a visually stunning way. Now, you may notice on screen that under relatively intense light conditions, the plastic looks much more orange than the black plastic that was communicated in the solicitation images. Under normal lighting conditions, he does appear considerably darker, although the glitter in the plastic being colored orange does convey an undertone of orange amongst the black skin, particularly stronger in areas where there is more glitter. As you make your way down the tail and away from the body, you start to see some of that bone color come into the spines, especially toward the tip of the tail, depicting that Godzilla's increased temperature has not yet radiated down the full extension of his tail, which is a nice detail. Now we'll talk about accessories included with the figure right out of the box, as well as that infamous super pack. Godzilla comes with 2 steam effects, one to wrap around the neck and one to wrap around his wrist, as well as 4 pulse effects. The steam effects are the same sculpts from the previous release of Burning Godzilla, however the plastic is more translucent and clear with painted white details toward the edges of the smoke effects. To me, these are the superior smoke effects. They just convey a little bit more dynamism than the previous all milky white smoke effect. Now, the previous Burning Godzillas also included smoke effects for the thighs, but to be honest, I'm more than happy to let those go here because the thigh effects just never really attached well on those previous figures that I had, but the neck and wrist pieces were always fairly secure. So if those are going to be the 2 here, it's okay by me. Godzilla also comes with the pulse effects, 2 that plug into the front of his body and 2 that plug in along his back. These are going to come in at about 6.5 inches long once fully inserted into the body, so they are quite large and are going to steal a lot of real estate on your shelf. Each one is cast in translucent plastic and then painted this combination of purple and fuchsia that becomes a lot darker as you make your way down the beams. As far as I can tell, there's no rhyme or reason as to which beam is supposed to plug into which port. You'll just have to experiment until you get a setup that you're happy with. And once fully inserted, we get this amazing display of Godzilla with the pulse effects for the first time in action figure form. I think it looks fantastic, and it does an awesome job of conveying the amount of energy surging through Godzilla's body. Now, the last thing to talk about out of the box is that light up feature. There's a plastic tab at the base of the larger spines that you'll need to pull out in order to activate the battery. And once you've done that, you just push in on the spines to toggle the light up feature. This will send light down through those beam effects, now acting as light piping. Now, the LEDs included in the figure are quite strong, but I think you're going to get the most mileage out of this effect in lighting conditions that are a little bit darker than what you might consider regular lighting. If the lights in your room are completely off, I think the effect is outstanding. But in a room with lots of natural light, the effect does get subdued quite a bit. I'm really looking forward to my other creator friends, those who are skilled in photography, to get their hands on this figure, because I think they're going to come up with some really breathtaking shots. The only other drawback I would really consider with the lighting and the pulse effects is that if you don't have the pulse effects in, the ports really stick out like sore thumbs. They're very rectangular, they're very inorganic. The ones on the back aren't too bad because they're out of the way and they're sort of tucked in along the spine, so you're not going to notice them as much. But those front two, it's just something to think about. Now, there is an extra accessory that was available to those who pre-ordered Godzilla during the 30-day pre-order window direct from Super7.com, and that is the Infinite Spiral Heat Ray accessory coming in with the Super Pack. Now, I've made my stance clear on the Super Packs before. I will throw a disclaimer up on screen if you want to pause and read it. The Spiral Heat Ray effect comes in at 8 inches long and is a separate headpiece with the beam sculpted into it. And I believe this is the first time that the Infinite Spiral Heat Ray has been depicted in action figure form. Godzilla's standard head just unplugs from the neck very easily. The Spiral Heat Ray head plugs in very easily, and the tolerance is solid. I'm not really worried about this head sculpt sagging over time at all. The translucent orange with the translucent red spirals wrapping around it, I think look fantastic. All things considered here with the sculpt, the paint, the translucent plastic, the glitter, the light up effects, the pulse effects, the heat ray, I'm really trying to let my footage do the talking here, but I am so pleased. Out of all my Toho Ultimate figures, this is the one that I find myself picking up and just like adoring. It's just so interesting to look at. I don't think it's going to do anything to win over the folks that, really value screen accuracy and really need it to look like the figure that just walked off the screen. If you're somebody who just wants a toy depiction of a scene from a movie using methods that the big collector lines don't typically use, I think that this is something that you should really consider. And now we'll take a look at the articulation. So the articulation here for Final Battle Godzilla is going to be exactly the same as the Wave 1 Bio Goji, which is unfortunate. I guess there is one little exception there. But at this point, if you haven't picked up this mold before, it's not the most flexible thing in the world. You're really getting into this for more of the aesthetic rather than the posability. So up at the head, and this is where our one exception is going to be, we now have a hinge jaw, which is very nice to see, very appreciated. It only took us 5.5 waves to get here, but that's where we are, and that's where we're going to be moving forward. So that's nice. We've got double barbells up here where the head connects to the neck and where the neck connects to the body, so you can get an okay range of motion here. Nothing too spectacular, but there you go. It does feel like they've redone the neck or the head or something here. It feels like he can tuck in his chin a lot more than previously, whereas you can also extend it out a little bit more. So you can do the chin tuck forward. Okay. The upper torso swivels. It swivels the whole way around. There is no ball joint here, just swivels. The arms do rotate the whole way around. Although the additional battle damage here, you may get caught here, so just be mindful of that. There's a little bit extra sculpting here that you might collide into something if you're not careful with it. The arms will go up in T-pose all the way. Bicep swivel, single jointed elbows get you pretty much 90 degrees, maybe just a touch more, but 90 degrees. And then you've got your swivel hinge combo into the wrists. Now getting down to the thighs connect in on a single ball joint, get them about that wide, get them about that far in. So it's not a whole lot, but it is there. Kicking forward, get them kicking forward about that much. In the knee, there's a swivel hinge in the knee. And then the ankles are another swivel hinge combo, so they can rotate about that far down, about that far up, and then there is some pretty good ankle rockers in there. And then the tail, you know, the bane of this line's existence. The tail is not very flexible, so you can go up, down that much, side to side, like a little bit, here and there, not very much. Again, like, and there's no real use complaining about it because they've started doing a new tail articulation with Wave 6 of Ultimates and moving forward. So, you know, this is just an artifact of what has come before, and hopefully it is the last we will see of this articulation scheme, unless they do another Bio Goji. But I feel like they've scraped the bottom of the barrel at this point in terms of repaint potential. So hopefully, whenever they get to Heisei Godzilla again, they can redo this tail. Yeah, it's not great. But again, there's no real use complaining about it. And then to turn on the effects, you just push these spines here. That's how you turn that on. Real easy. When you get the figure, there's going to be a little tab here that you have to pull out for the battery to become active. And there you have Godzilla 1995 Final Battle version from the Toho Ultimates line. And if you can't tell already, I am really jazzed with this release. I love having him displayed with the pulse effects and then having that light up feature that just accentuates the effect of those pieces. And then you have the steam effects, which are just a lot better than the previous iterations. And then on top of all of that, you also have the infinite spiral heat ray, you know, with the big disclaimer that you only got it if you pre-ordered the figure. And in actually doing the math with all the accessories and the light up feature, there are actually 16 different ways to display this figure. But even if you had none of that, if this was all you had in front of you, I still think that this visually is just incredible to look at. He's fun to play with too, and he's, you know, finally got that hinge jaw. It only took 4 years, but we finally got there. Now, if you think the $105 price point is too much, you're gonna wait for a sale, wait for a sale. By all means, wait for a sale. For me, I got it right at the full price. Could not be happier, to be honest. And that's not to say that there aren't things that I've pointed out in this video that I think could be a little bit better or a little bit more finely tuned. It's just, my enjoyment of this thing just overshadows all of those so strongly that it doesn't matter to me. Call it reviewer bias, call it janitoring or ball washing or whatever. So with all of that being said, what do you think of Godzilla 1995 Final Battle version? Is this something that you've picked up and you're looking forward to? Is it something that you're contemplating picking up? Pass altogether? Let me know what you think in the comment section down below. Thank you all so much for watching, and until next time, I'll talk to you again soon. Bye-bye.